check 1 2. Check 1 2. Reduce. Check 1 2. Ziningi. Check 1 2. Kelele.
Kelele. Hata ikitizama TV.
Check 1 2. Kuna kitu jengea hapo. Ni fan. Oh, check 1 2. Reduce to huku kwanza. Check. Hii stuff. Hii microphone ya hii kamera ina boingi sana. Haiendangi off.
Napigia cha kamera.
Ndio kelele. Check 1 2. Check. Audio inaenda kwa nini live? Check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2. Microphone check. Vitu zimefan. Vitu zimefan. Natufuatilia noise inatoka wapi kwingine. So check 1 2. Weka microphone. Weka earphone. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Kelele, si ndio? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Mute hapo kwanza live. Tamute aje live. Mute hapo. 1 2
Welcome viewers to IOC TV tonight. We have the distinct honor of hosting Dr. Eros Lopeyok, the Deputy Governor of Turkana County. We are delving into his journey, which is a testament to the power of dedication and service. From his roots in Kalokol, the cradle of humankind, we say, to the halls of prestigious universities in the United States, his path has been one of the unwavering commitment to the people. Dr. Lopeyok is not just a politician. He is a scholar, a researcher in African ethnomedicine and peace studies, and a veteran of Turkana's vibrant civil society. Today, we'll delve into the pressing issues facing Turkana, explore the county's vision for development, and understand how Dr. Lopeyok's diverse experience are driving positive change. Join us as we explore the heart and mind of a leader dedicated to transforming Turkana. Karibu sana, Daktari.
Asante sana, Mariam.
Yeah. Okay, let's go straight into it. First of all, I want to thank you for taking this opportunity, to accept our invite. And first and foremost, I would like to ask you to share a bit about your background and what motivated you to dedicate your career to public service.
Thank you, Marion, and thank you, viewers. As you have heard, my name is John Eros Lopeyok. I've been born and brought up in Kalokol, and I started my school life in Kalokol. And throughout my career, I have managed to go through all the challenges of growing up as a child in Kalokol or in Turkana to be what I am today. One of the things that has motivated me in that journey, it's just the fact that growing up as a child, going through everything that every child in Turkana has gone through, including what they are going through today, we can list them. The issues that I deal with is school fees, long distances to school, access to food, various kinds of compounding challenges within education. And so it has always been my desire from that early age that when I grow up, that I would really want to see some of those challenges that we have gone through. Those challenges reduce as I grow older.
Yes. Okay. Maybe you could take us through your background in education.
I went to school in Kalokol Primary School. After I completed my KCPE exams in Kalokol Primary School, I completed my high school in Lodo High. And then from there, I went to Kericho Teachers Training College. Immediately after Kericho Teachers College, I went to UK for a higher diploma program in management and administration at Cambridge College. After that, I completed my university education at the Catholic University. And after Catholic University, I worked in Turkana. From Catholic University, I went to a school called World Learning School for International Training, graduate school in Brattleboro, Vermont, under Ford Fellowship. And after that, I did my doctorate at the University of Massachusetts. both SIT Graduate Institute, the World Learning in Brattleboro, and for my master's and PhD were all, I did all of them in the United States.
Okay. So what were you doing before becoming the deputy governor?
My journey mostly beginning with my role as a teacher. I have taught both in primary school and high school.
Okay.
Apart from teaching, my role in primary school was to shape how discipline within schools are going to be done. One of the things that I was very passionate about from the very beginning was introduction of human rights education in school system.
Okay.
And so early on, and these are the skills I was able to acquire much later, but also as a student. And so in the process of that experience, responsibility to me, I saw that the human rights framework, the social justice framework, gave a platform through which we can build a certain level of responsibilities in young people. And that is the spirit that I carried with me.
Yeah.
So when I taught in a high school, and that is in Kangtet High School, I carried the same principles with me. And this happened at a time when human rights were not even allowed to be discussed in school system, and neither would they be things that would form part of the curriculum. But also we had witnessed a period of time within that period where learning will be disrupted just because young people would be disgruntled, would be complaining over certain kind of what they perceived as unfairness. And to me, I took a passion with that. And you see, if you are working in a system that does not allow human rights to be part of a formal curriculum, I used the law clubs as the avenue for mobilizing young people. And it also got me into trouble because one of the things that I was very passionate about was that some head teachers in some schools would sell school food for their own selfish interests. And you see, growing up and seeing the situation on the ground where our children sometimes they just go to school because they have the only thing they have is the food at the school. I would mobilize students, the bigger students in the school, to go and recover that food.
Yeah.
And that really shaped how I thought about the responsibility that we need to take up so that to improve circumstances. That was one of the smallest efforts that I thought was really very critical. And also just to open the minds of the young people that they can be part and parcel of that change. Immediately after graduating at Catholic University, I had other engagements before that, which I think also shaped my public participation and civic engagements.
Okay.
Before going to Kangtet, I had a chance to be the co-convener for the first Turkana We Want conference. And in that Turkana We Want conference, we were looking at how we can shape the political landscape of Turkana so that it's more vibrant. We have some form of multi-party democracy.
Yeah.
At that time, Turkana was classified as a Kanu zone, and no other political party would be allowed to operate in Turkana.
Yeah.
And so part of the first Turkana We Want convention was really to discuss around those issues. And the second thing that I did before that, I was one of the constituency photo educators.
Okay.
And we used to have an institute called Institute for Education and Democracy. And the Institute for Education and Democracy gave us tools that we can engage with our constituencies. And we were using Paulo Freire's pedagogy of the oppressed framework. And by learning that, I got to get the skills of community organizing, community mobilization, and learning from early stages on exposure to advocacy within the local communities. During that time, the only government of Turkana was really non-state actors, with the Catholic Church taking the lead.
Yeah.
And so most of the engagements with the Catholic Church portrayed us, the Turkanas, as people who just want to be carried along. And we do not want to learn and to be able to stand on our own. So it was around that time and my engagements with Institute for Education and Democracy and other faith-based organizations, other civil society organizations, including the Green Belt Movement. If you hear about the Green Belt Movement, Green Belt Movement was an initiative by Peace Lucret, the deceased Wangari Maathai.
Okay.
We used to carry small badges on our pockets saying "Sitoi kitu kidogo" when we go to a government office. And we had inspirations from other professors that we had engaged with. We interacted with Professor Kifuta Kibona. During that time, he was running a center called the Clarion Center for Law and Research. And all these gave us the tools to be able to mobilize. So around that time, we decided that we need to form an entity called Catholic Justice and Peace. And it was during that time that Father Gabriel Dolan, using the church structure, and with our support, we mobilized our communities to establish a very vibrant social justice movement in Turkana. Immediately after that, it was very tough at the very beginning, dealing with the Kanu as the infrastructure that really just existed here in Turkana. I know we planned a lot of protests, we planned a lot of civil disobedience and civil actions that attracted the world to Turkana. We had the Amnesty International Secretary General, Human Rights Rapporteur also visited Turkana. We had many activists in Turkana, including Maina Kiai, who is now also as the Human Rights Rapporteur, Willie Mutunga came here to Turkana, Maina Kiai, those of Angelica Beberi, we had Mother Karua, we had people like Kraitu Murungi, and all these people in the civil society, human rights sector really kind of gave us a boost in Turkana, and for the first time, we successfully brought 2 members of opposition in politics in Turkana in 1997. And it was during that time that I decided to step back continue with my university education at the Catholic University. I would probably say after the Catholic University, I had a chance to head the Catholic Justice and Peace Program. And there is a number of things that we did. One, the Justice and Peace provided a platform to give voice to the community. And our goal was really to build the infrastructure necessary for the community to stand and to be visible within the national government. During that time, Turkanas, we considered ourselves as second-class citizens. There was really limited government presence in Turkana. Those that were here were literally weak, and they were not really perceived as effective in any way.
Yeah.
So my work for Justice and Peace, I would say, was both an eye-opener for me. It was also a challenging experience for me. Looking back at what I did, started in the school as a human rights program, I was able then to translate that human rights program into what they call Pamoja kwa Haki program, which was a schools-based human rights program. We worked with the UNICEF to actually make sure that human rights, by 2003, human rights had been infused in the school curriculum in Kenya. And that is one of the policy things that we were able to do. Number two, we had serious cases of corruption, abuse of office, and it was more common, gross violations of human rights. One of the things that we did through the Catholic Justice and Peace Program was to monitor human rights violations, abuse of office, and we started a magazine called Sauti ya Jamii, which became a popular tool for information sharing.
Which year was that?
We are talking about 2000, 2001 until I left the program. I don't know, after I left the program, I don't know for how long it continued, but I left the program in 2007 after publishing the last edition of my tenure as the executive director for Catholic Justice and Peace. And we were able to reduce corruption cases, abuse of office, by nearly 75% in Turkana.
Impressive.
And that was just really because we had put structures, social justice structures, in all communities within the precincts of the Catholic Church. But we had also reached out to other churches just because of the role that they had played. One of the things that we realized from there was that human rights, social justice, and our cultural programs seemed to have completely been detached from each other. Election of 2002 was one of the violent elections in Turkana, and I was coordinating the Turkana central elections. Actually, no Turkana central elections, Turkana elections in Turkana in general.
At large.
We carried out what they call a community civic education program. We had phase 1 and phase 2, which was covering all that period of the election since 1997, 2002, into 2005. And in engaging with the community around that time, we also realized that we needed to develop the infrastructure necessary to monitor the elections. We were actually, the Catholic Church was the only entity that people accepted, and they credibly relied on our advice and and the results that we had actually be able to document as more objective and
Yeah.
valid. And so my journey in that process of social justice led me to start paralegal education program. And the paralegal education program, we incorporated all the structures of governments.
Yeah.
Those that were opposed to the work of justice and peace, because initially it was being perceived as more destructive. It was seen as a revolution. It was seen as opposing government. And so the government infrastructure all fought to make sure that justice and peace program does not exist in Turkana, including influencing the Catholic bishops. And so within that human rights, there were three aspects to it. The first aspect is that of social protection for children, child safety, and also sexual abuse. It was very common because of the levels of poverty. The second part was actually the criminal justice process. One of the interesting things we learned was that for every 5 convicts in Lodwar GK prison, 3 were cases of mistrial.
Yeah.
The cases of mistrial here is they are either false witnesses or they were actually case of mistaken identity or they confessed for crimes that they did not commit. And that is why we came up and supported the prison reform program.
Okay.
And that is one of the biggest achievements we got. And through the Catholic Justice and Peace, we created the first children's office in Turkana. We did not have a professional magistrate. We fought hard to make sure that we had a professional magistrate in Lodwar, and we fought to get a judge of a high court.
Impressive.
And one other thing that I would probably say we did through the paralegal education program was really to look at the principles of justice and human rights and customary law.
Yeah.
To see how we can fill in the justice gaps within the community justice infrastructure. Because we realized that the voices of like women and youth were not represented in terms of how community justice systems was being practiced. And from that initiative, we were able to start the pilot project on claims courts. We were also, we did some work in alternative justice. And I was actually very glad to notice that initially when I was looking at the small claims courts thinking, I had looked at the small claims courts in South Africa. I had also seen Gachacha courts in Rwanda. I had access and visited the mediation centers in Nigeria. And when I was thinking about the small claims courts, I was looking at something that is going to provide some kind of an awareness between the Turkana people and especially pastoralists. Understanding of how government works and how do we bridge the gap between what they perceive as government and what is not. And then I came to realize that in that whole discussion, people did not understand what nationhood means, what it means to be a citizen of a country. And so we developed a manual to talk about culture, to talk about nationhood, to talk basic things about what becoming a citizen of a country really means. And we disseminated that knowledge And during that time, there was an NGO called the Legal Resources Foundation and Kituo cha Sheria. And these are the two entities that really helped us to be able to, to disseminate this information. During that time, it is only the vehicles from the Catholic Church or these other organizations that will reach from Kibish all the way to Capedo, and you see, as a 23-year-old, 24-year-old, I had the energy to drive around.
Yes.
But you see, one of the things, my thinking during that time was that we need to have something that is both acceptable
Yes.
by the national institutions, that is police, judiciary, provincial administration. That would also just give some kind of leverage and a voice to our local community, so that the social justice, the community justice infrastructure incorporates all these things to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
That was my thinking about the small claims courts.
Yeah.
I was privileged to come back and to be with the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, to launch the program that we started in 2005, which is the small claims courts. It is now operational at the Lodwar courts.
Yeah.
And the alternative justice program is also launched. Those are also key achievements which got itself into the government policy. So the work of, we didn't stop there. We created the women's program to look at specifically to the issues of children. And it is from that we supported Joaquin to pass sexual offenders legislation in the National Assembly. And these are all the initiatives that we did through the Catholic Justice and Peace. We were also instrumental in the process of the new constitution. When you hear, they say, second liberation, third liberation, whatever it is called, we spent months at the Bomas of Kenya during the first National Constitutional Conference to advocate for pastoralist issues within the constitution. The Independence Constitution had completely left Turkana and all the frontier, they used to be called frontier districts, under the mercy of the president. So we were purely being governed by presidential decrees. Whatever the president felt was viable for these regions, and whatever decisions they make superseded every other legislation that was put in place. And that created a disconnect between what they call the northern frontier.
Yeah. You can just put it, no problem.
Northern frontier districts.
I'm sorry. Can I help him? Sorry about that. Thank you.
Northern frontier district. So when we talk about marginalization, it is not really about how we were kind of left behind. We were looking at what provisions within the law that guarantees us as citizens our rights.
Yeah.
And so in 2005, because of the issues that we fought for to be included in the Constitution in 2005, we worked hard to make sure that that referendum did not succeed.
Yeah.
We worked hard to open up access roads to reach out to communities in terms of peace promotion. We created the infrastructure, including opening up Toronyang. Toronyang was a deserted town for almost 20 years. We were able, through building peace, the same to Napei Tomilomelo, and all these areas that are now also beginning to require some new thinking in terms of what we need to do. Through the Justice and Peace Program, we were able to resettle people in those areas, opened up access roads. We also initiated a program to reach out to the local communities, and we used to call it Nomadic Mission Ministry. And the thinking around the Nomadic Mission Ministry was that one time as I was going around, I went into Nanam to see some of my relatives there, because my dad's lineage is from Turkana West, all the way from Oropoi to Nanam, Lokankai, Natamakaru, all that area. And I was surprised when I went there. I found almost 200 children, no school, and they were playing with firearms, with live ammunition. And that thing really bothered me, because when we are talking about protective measures, risks, and then you have children playing with firearms, and there is no social infrastructure that allows them to be able to divert that kind of thinking. And here is where, at that time, we were also struggling with about literacy rates, which were like about less than 7%. In some documentations had put that literacy levels in Turkana at 3%. So I was visioning in the next 10, 15 years with those 200 children, what will be the basis of us going to measure the literacy levels. And so it was during that time that we initiated what they call alternative basic education for Turkana, which was supported by Oxfam through what they had already started in Karamoja, basic alternative basic education for Karamoja. So we put that as part of the social ministry and nomadic mission. That is why all the areas that you see along the A1 road, from Kakuma all the way to Lokchogo and the schools there, was really as a result of that effort. And I'm really very happy to say that we were able then to build the infrastructure that was really necessary for establishing some kind of settlement within that area, and it reduced the conflict. One of the challenges that we felt during that time, regional framework for engagements. Although the Ugandan part was secured just because of the Ugandan government investments in security, Southern Sudan at that time was still under civil war, and Ethiopia was still not really very stable. All these challenges kind of just, led us to think that new thinking about building infrastructure for peace was really necessary. That the framework that we use to analyze it needs to incorporate the unique circumstances within these areas. So we were able then to build that peace infrastructure within this region. And actually my dissertation partly talks about how public health infrastructure and peace can actually provide a durable solution in terms of peace promotion. We'll probably talk about that later. So the other area where we felt that we did make a contribution was in socio-economic development, especially in food security programs. All the initial food security programs along River Turkwel were actually an initiative that we built in as a Diocese of Lodwar strategy for socio-economic development. The other area where we had a very big influence was in the health sector,
Okay.
where I played a role in coming up with a developmental framework in terms of how we established the first community-based primary health care outreach program
Yes.
in collaboration with AMREF
Yes.
and other faith-based organizations. During that time, there were only 4 government hospitals
Okay.
in the entirety of Turkana. Maybe in 6 others, but those were not sufficient enough in terms of reaching out. So the attitudes change over the years. One of the notable things that I would probably say, which was also something that I was very passionate about, was ensuring social audit. Governance and citizen formation and strengthening requires them having the tools and the mechanisms that they need to make a government account, to make leaders account, to make everybody account in that kind of space. One of the areas that we really worked was to develop training programs in the area of social audits. So we developed training curriculums, which continued to be used here in Turkana, and they also formed the government policy on public participation. So public participation is really the initiative that we really built as part of the social audit infrastructure within the framework of government. We also influence policy in HIV/AIDS interventions in Turkana.
Okay.
We noticed that for a very long time, the national government did not take key interest in addressing HIV/AIDS in Turkana. Even though during that time we had noticed that there were pockets of generalized epidemics. These are like sections.
Yeah.
Kainoku was one transit point, Gloda was a transit point,
Yes.
higher concentration of refugees in Kakuma, attracting other nationalities. We had exposure of other areas where instances of HIV like Kalokol because of the fish business. And then we had Lokchogyo, where now we had a concentration Operation Lifeline Sudan.
Yeah.
And those were the pockets that we thought that could be explosive in the future.
Yeah.
And without that kind of guidance and discussions around the issues to do with sexual health, HIV interventions, behavior change communications, which we aggressively address at the Catholic Diocese of Loda, but since we had a bigger funding, those are the channels through which we were able to use it to disseminate information. So the work of Justice and Peace was really broad-based. I have not even talked about the number of cases that we were able to facilitate, including taking action against some government officials, some of them corruption related or sexual abuse, who ended up serving maybe partially or full term of their sentence. So what am I really trying to say is that it was during that time that I was also able to get the fellowship to go to the United States. I got a very prestigious scholarship for the foundation. And while in the US, I took part also in the human rights campaign when I was working with the Save the Children. Human rights campaign looks at human rights in general. I was also learning a few things. My master's is in social justice and intercultural relations. And during that time, I had an exposure to different countries. So when I was working for Save the Children around that time, advocacy and issues about advancing the rights of women and children, and resource mobilizing was really key. So in Justice and Peace, I also worked with a group of unprivileged populations, African Americans, men who have been incarcerated. And so as part of the community reentry program, we started a program called Men of Color Health Awareness, which was really supposed to be part of an entry point to use health as part of the community service program.
Yeah.
We realized that majority of those who had been incarcerated were purely African American men, Latinos.
Yeah.
I also worked with the communities in eastern Massachusetts, extremely poor populations, in designing a program called Keep Fit, which was a nutritional-based interventions program to deal with higher cases of diabetes. I also, what I've also done in the U.S. For 6 years, while in the U.S., I worked at the university to do evidence-based interventions in reducing high-risk drinking and drug use, something that I've been passionate about.
Yeah.
And through that intervention, we were able, through a program, to reduce high-risk drinking and drug use by about 90%.
Wow.
Within the college campuses. One other thing that I was able to do in the U.S. was a mental health support program. I am a certified mental health support specialist for young people, something that I did throughout COVID in the U.S. And those things were really very passionate to me. The other thing that I have done in the U.S. Is to be elected the president of African Scholars and Graduate Students Association for 3 terms in a row.
Wow.
A leadership role that I did in the U.S. And so when I look at my life, working with people and for people has always been the most motivating factor for me. Even after I came from the U.S. In 2021, the work that I did for immediately I did was to support a program called Sauti Yangu.
Yeah.
Sauti Yangu is young peoples with journalists to look at how they can use technology, and how they can look at entrepreneurship through the lens of emerging markets. And Sauti Yangu, just like the same Sauti ya Jamii, kind of resonated with the idea that you have to be close to the people to offer that kind of support. I also consulted for Bridges Initiative, and I consulted for both the Kenya Kwanza, before it became Kenya Kwanza, but UDA in particular, and also the ODM in some quarters, before knowing that I would eventually to take sides in one of them, and it was looking at post-COVID recovery interventions for whoever takes over the new government. So I really feel very privileged that throughout my life, this is the passion I have. When I think about people, I see the best in them. I see the potential that they have. I see the potential in me. I was telling some people that I was not one of the smartest kids in the school. There are kids that I tried to catch up with them, but I could not beat them. So when I see them in the streets, I don't just overlook them just because somehow they were not able to complete school, but just being there to use your own life journey and your own experience and your own life from the lens of other people, of what they are going through, is the greatest motivator for me to dedicate my life for public service.
Sure. Wow. Wow. What a wonderful experience you have. And looking at your journey, you've championed for peace, you've championed for human rights, you've championed for mental health, etc. I don't really see where you are inclined to politics per se. And I would really love to know how you got to heed to the call of being wanting to be the deputy governor. How was it for you?
I've always seen politics as an everyday decision that we make. To be honest with you, when I was preparing for my doctoral exams in 2013, and because I had a whole year to prepare for my exam, I jumped into politics just to test the waters for the future. And I remember coming for holidays in December, I jumped into the election in 2013. I remember I was just here for 1 month and then I went to the US. And then I saw like, oh, okay, maybe this is something I could try. But my thinking is, you know, there are certain decisions that even though we make these decisions every day, sometimes being at the table where you have a say in terms of working with the people to initiate some kind of change, no matter how small it is. I realized during my life that if you want to go for small incremental steps, the motivator for you to be able to get to where you want. And so during that time, I was surprised the kind of the support I got in Turkana Central. But I had tried 3 strategies during that time. Number one was, it's good messaging alone, sufficient enough to get you support. Number 2 is propaganda and mix of money. Propaganda and money be able to give you that support. And if I chose just to spend money in some parts of the constituency, will it guarantee me the support? And then I realized the area that I invested more money, I got less votes than the place, that. So it was just kind of an experiment. I had felt that throughout my life I had made the contribution to that I needed to do to the Turkana people. And so things to do with thinking about getting into politics was not something that I had anticipated myself. I would put that in 2 perspectives. When I was about to finish my doctoral studies, I thought about what is the best thank you I can give to my mother. And then I realized that a trip for her to the United States will be the most gift I can ever give it to her. And my mother traveled to the US to come, and she sat there during my dissertation defense. And during that time, our 6 months stay in the US had expired. And when she was about to travel back, then COVID hit.
COVID came, yeah.
And she had to spend another 9 months in the US. All what she saw in the TV was things to do with African Americans, experiences in the hands of white police, and the Black Lives Matter movement. And then COVID hit. Some of the programs that I was running, I would go there and find people are dead. I had to be tested nearly every week. I was one of the primary providers. And so I had access to go to these places. I think my mother got worried and got convinced that probably if she leaves me in the US, that I may not really come to Kenya alive. And so she started saying that she cannot go to Kenya without me. And she kept on telling me that she will pray to God and my job will get me wherever I am. And just kind of to give her support, she had lost her sister, she had lost her brother, and she was in the US. I tried to conceal that information from her. I just told her that they are not feeling well.
She did not at the time.
Huh?
She did not at the time that she has lost her sister.
Yes, but I think intuitively she would ask me like, oh, my brother so and my sister, are they really okay? So I kind of thought that maybe as part of that social support, maybe I can come with her to Kenya. I was actually on my last week after my assignment with Bridging Bridges, Building Bridges Initiative. After I finished that assignment with Frederick Newman Foundation, I was planning to spend a week in Amboseli, and then from Amboseli I was just coming and tell my mother, you know what, continue praying, I'm going back. Because at that time I had gotten a job offer, and that job offer was paying me well. So it was when I was in Amboseli that actually Governor, he was part of my committee member during this transformation process when we were looking for social change, when he was actually part of the Justice and Peace Committee in Loima. And so I was familiar with him. We were in the same political campaign during that time. But when I left for US, I stayed in the US for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And so he came and we had a discussion. When I shared with my family about this and my mother, she became passionate that that is the call. That is what I prayed for. So I had back and forth about this decision. I'm also aware of Kenyan politics, so I was trying to ask myself, what is my incentive? So that time I had read a book called Happiness for All. And it was in that spirit I realized that the biggest part of me looks at the community from the point of view of my own personal satisfaction.
Yeah.
And I felt that if my journey, if my story, if my leadership, if my experience, whatever it is, can inspire one or two people for these ideas to, why not? So it took me a while to make the decision, but here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, next we're going to discuss about your role as a Deputy Governor, what are your primary roles in the office? Tell the audience.
I want to tell the audience that my vision for Turkana always, even when I was working for Justice and Peace, is an opportunity to, to work with other like-minded people to really develop the resources and the opportunities that we have in Turkana.
Yeah.
Let me just give, for example, when I was working for Justice and Peace, I realized the entirety of Turkana South is a rich source for tourism development. It is good for pasture reseeding. It is rich for unintegrated feedlots as part of livestock sector support. Turkana South has great potential to address food security because a lot of the areas there are more arable. When you look at Turkana North, investments in mining and other opportunities, including the Lower South Omo, that is now the area of Toranyang, all the way to Lower Rang, with the potential of the water there for big irrigation scheme. And you have heard that initially a big program on food production needed to be there. Look at the resources to do with Lake Turkana as one of the value chain. Look at Kakuma and the 26 nationalities that are there. Look at the economic potential, the bigger market it is. So when you look at the Turkana, you realize that the potential that we have. Look at the oil and the water in Nanam. So I've always looked at Turkana from the perspective of building a 3.6 trillion economy, in which 1.1 trillion can really be able to support the infrastructure that we need to eliminate poverty.
Yeah.
Look at energy sector alone, renewable energy. If we utilize the precast panels and incorporate it with solar block technology, we are able to build a 7 billion economy for Turkana. If we invested, for example, in packaging the fish, fresh fish, and providing the infrastructure needed for it, it's going to, to be a game changer. I've always seen Turkana as a Singapore within the region. If you look at the northern Uganda, southern Sudan, southern Ethiopia, the entirety of southern Ethiopia, and we look at the counties that border us, we can really build a Turkana that is able to change people's lives within 5 years to 10 years, acknowledging that there may be certain kind of technology that is required. This is the vision I have always had for Turkana when I was working for Justice and Peace.
Okay.
And this is the thinking that I have always had, that at some point in the future, that we can build infrastructure. I am very passionate about integration of our livelihoods and the energy, and also key resources like water, because in one way they are intertwined.
Yeah.
When and I'm using this kind of just to give you a vision on where I'm coming from, like some of the things that I can translate them into bankable assets, or you can translate them into, assign a monetary value that we can build ground up. When we thought about establishing the Constitution of Kenya, we had an experience in from the Independence Constitution. We realized that when you look at the Independence Constitution, Issues to do with the leadership structure was always problematic. And it was the same issue when we rejected the 2005 new constitution, which was being led by Yash Balgai. And so and that led to an outcome where we had a lot of challenges. We had a Kringler report, which looked at the problems of elections. So we looked at the new constitution as a solution to the problems that we currently have.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the role of the two devolved system of government, president and the deputy president, governor and the deputy governor, the constitution has already clearly stated what our roles are.
Yeah.
The roles of the deputy governor, as per the constitution, is to deputize governor.
Okay.
But deputizing governor has not been explained in details what it means.
Okay.
The constitution has just left it blankly as that. Probably a clarification was supposed to be needed in terms of the drafters of the constitution. I know that question has been asked several times, and the question was, it was going to create two centers of power.
Yeah.
So that is one role of the deputy governor. The second role of the deputy governor is to be delegated responsibilities that the governor feels that they can, for example, he's invited into an event or he has obligations that he needs to fulfill as governor, and because of other schedules or job demands, then he can ask the deputy governor. When he is on leave, he can ask me to step in or something like that. Otherwise, the seat of the deputy governor, Directorate of Public Communications and Media Relations.
Okay.
I share other responsibilities within the first executive order that the governor issued. That is in things to do with aspects of work that he's not. There are aspects of the Council of Governors that only the governor can, can exercise those functions. And there are those that I share with him by virtue of the fact that they fall within both of our mandates, I also share responsibilities in the area of delivery.
Okay.
In terms of staff management, but overall as the deputy CEO, those roles and responsibilities sometimes overlap just by virtue of the fact that those are specific responsibilities that the people of Turkana need to know.
Okay. So having stated your responsibilities, I would like you to tell us how you see your role in addressing the challenges and opportunities facing Turkana right now.
Turkana has a very clear framework for transformation. Our theory of change is if we utilize the water we already have right now, and look for ways in which how this water can be tapped for multiple uses, it automatically addresses the issue of livelihoods.
Yeah, sure.
That is agriculture, livestock, and we can also integrate aspects of what we need to unlock economic potential of Lake Turkana. That means the only thing that we need at that point is locally adaptable technologies that will allow us to be able to tap into that. It means we need to have a common user processing facility. It means those incubators for those innovations then requires then that we build that within the value chains. That is the nexus between development and investment. So for us, partnerships through collaboration with the national government, development partners, and private sector guarantees.
Okay.
It will really put those things together. So, and how do you achieve it? Is just to make sure that education and peace and economic potential through access to finances to build a good business environment is the one that is going to eliminate the need of conflicts within the region. So meaning each of those sectors on itself with locally adaptable technologies and with a multi-sectoral interventions and approach is really key. So, for example, we can deal with the issue of climate change, with the issue of ecosystem restoration, with energy, plus livestock support and water in just an integrated feedlots. So in Turkana, we only just need 8. We'll have solved the issues, problems of the pastoralists in terms of the animal feeds, in terms of agricultural production, food, in terms of other value chains. It will reduce movement cross border. We'll have guaranteed and assured that livelihood, and we can use that water for multiple uses as part of the ecosystem restoration.
Okay.
So the greening that we would like to do has to be integrated within the livelihoods so that our own livelihoods. And that also looks at diversification. One of the other things that the Turkana County government, through this collaboration and partnerships, is really to look at, are there development projects that if they are initiated in terms of whether they can be called flagships, but they are developmental in nature, and then it also attracts some kind of private sector investments. It also attracts its scaling up in itself. Currently, we have, I don't know, we have lost the track of how many projects, small projects that we are doing in sub-counties, in villages through World Development Funds. If you look at these projects, it may look like from the outset that there is not much that is happening. But we are also looking at if fish resources and its value chains requires an investment of 1 billion, can we then put the resources equivalent to that, and that will be able to take care of that area. Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, in collaboration with the International Labour Organization and the county government and other development partners, we have come up with key value chains, and it is an intentional it is intentional for the county government to look at how these resources can be pumped into these value chains so that in the future these value chains can be layered up and it can lead us to where we want to be in terms of wealth creation. The other thing I would probably want to say is that Turkana County is very fortunate to have development partners contributing in different aspects of our life. As I said from the very beginning, the first lifeline of Turkana is the support of non-state actors initially. The second lifeline for Turkana's development is the devolved system of government. What you see today, they were all, the infrastructure you see today was developed between 2015 and now. So meaning, if there is a deliberate kind of a framework within our CIDP, which it has really captured this thinking. For example, how do we solve water problems We have a 25-year water master plan at a cost of 3.1 billion that we are resource mobilizing with our development partners to solve the water problem within Turkana, from Loima all the way to Lake Turkana, taking care of the entirety of the ecosystem. How do we envision, again, building a bigger economy for Turkana? We have a spatial plan that is not just going to be maps. We are looking at our spatial plan both as a process and as a product. And it must capture those value chains so that planning and investments is aligned with those resources within our map. So our MAPSA is actually a process of transformation. And the report will be handed over soon so that the future planning is going to be guided by these initiatives. So meaning the long-term investments and long-term projects from scratch going up is really where we are directing our development partners to invest in.
Yeah.
And so we have various missions coming to Turkana to discuss what is visible within the Turkana County that can solve the issue of persistent acute malnutrition in terms of food security, in terms of ecosystem restoration, and there are visible mechanisms. And one of the areas where we strongly feel passionate and we are building the capacity is in the energy sector, mining sector. We are also looking at those key value chains. Last week I had a privilege to represent the county in private sector engagements.
Okay.
And I'm very proud to say that very soon, not like we have our development partners, private, and the upper south, Omo of southern Ethiopia, and Toranyang, and the entirety of that area. That land, first of all, is arable, there is water. We can also integrate that with livestock production.
Okay.
And so it is a resource that can benefit both the Dasanach and the Turkana. The first time I went to Ethiopia to visit the Dasanach, we had just established the mission in Toranyang with the missionary community of St. Paul, the Apostle. And it was during that time that I went there for the first time. And the issues that the Dasanach were going through were similar in nature with what the Turkanas were going through.
Yeah.
Being completely detached from the main national life, funding themselves off the farms, and they kept on moving from those deltas, to get a place where they can stay. So peace promotion in Toranyang requires a national government strategy in terms of regional institutional framework and regional agreements.
Yeah.
Similar to the one that the Memorandum of Understanding between Kenya and Uganda. That is something that Governor and I have discussed with the leadership, and they are very keen to that. Toranyang, several years ago, had also lost about 42 individuals. So what are we saying? We are saying, as the county leadership, that we have two devolved functions.
Okay.
Security matters is the national government function. The county government's role is peace promotion and building the infrastructure necessary for peace promotion. Those reports, the CAS for internal security was on the ground. The Ethiopian regional government have also issued their own statements. The role of the county government is to to mobilize resources to ensure that the people who are affected can have their lives restored quickly, and the issues surrounding how this incident happened can be handled by both the national government of Kenya and the Ethiopian government.
Okay.
But in the meantime, the county government, the governor is going to lead the county government response tomorrow or the following day, so that the lives of those of the people who are affected by that incident can resume as quickly as possible. But that is just another clear demonstration that if we address the issues of poverty and we address the issues of resources, we have agreement on how we utilize transboundary resources. And this is supported under a broader social dialogue and engagements. And those engagements that will continue to be regularly monitored, they can actually going to achieve the results, because for nearly 7 years, other than theft, of small thefts here and there, there's never been an incident. But at this time, there's still a lot of more information that is needed to be able, to, first of all, to ascertain the exact number of missing persons. It is an unfortunate incident. And also, just for clarification, usually when an incident like that happens, initial assessment is many times conducted ahead of any meaningful response, because an incident that happens in the middle of the night, you need clarification and information on what the needs are, so that those resources can be mobilized. I don't think we are time barred as the county government to provide the necessary support that our residents, the people of Turkana, who may have been affected by that incident, they need support to be able to move quickly with their lives.
Okay, so the number stands at 20 right now, 20 fishermen?
At the moment, I cannot confirm the numbers, and I think Kenya Red Cross and our teams and the national government infrastructure, both the Kenyan and the Ethiopian ones, are on the ground still handling the numbers. We have a list of more than 60 people of missing persons, but we cannot really ascertain that. This is not official, but because we have engagements, and I also monitor some of this information in social media, there are relatives who are saying that their loved ones, some of those missing persons, may be under protective custody. Protective custody means they are just being kept safe.
Yeah.
And you say you have to protect the people if it is indeed they are under protection. They cannot just assume that maybe those individuals are just locked up there. You save protective custody means you are protecting care of those people until the environment is very clear of harm's way, so that those people can be facilitated to go back. So I cannot really deny or confirm the numbers at this point. What is clear is that an incident happened which involved the Dasanach and the Turkana community. Lives were lost, properties were lost, including livelihoods, and that both governments are working to restore security matters, that the county government has mobilized the resources necessary to go and support the families or individuals that have been affected.
Okay, and just on the same, I would like to know specifically, what are the challenges in rapid response in such remote areas? Because mostly they are not so.
The challenges in Turkana are some of the things that I've not, when I was working for Justice and Peace, distance is also one of them. Access to the area is also one of those. Locating these people is also one of them. What we hear is that this incident happened in an area inhabited predominantly by the Desanach, because, and also it was in the waters. The complexities of those requires, again, adequate mobilization in any crisis, in any emergency situations, all over the world. Mobilizing resources and interventions usually takes a while, because the people on the ground needs to have some kind of as a survivor or anyone who was in that incident reports back. It takes a while to be able to verify, or maybe to decide what kind of intervention. So access and sharing that information could also be a challenging. It was not a challenge. It was not easy then when I was doing the work for Justice and Peace. And by the way, one of the things that I contributed, just because of the distances alone, I felt that I was the first one to carry out the need for community radio. And I'm happy to come and find that we have more than local community radio stations here in Turkana.
Yeah.
So it's me who did the first initial assessment and established some form of Akicha radio before.
Okay.
And that is purely just because of an incident. I remember we had an incident in Loteteleit in Turkana West, and it took us like nearly 6 days to be able even to access a road to take us there.
Yeah.
So those continue to be challenges, but right now we have an infrastructure that will allow people to get that information.
Okay. This takes us to also to another thing ailing the Turkana people right now, which is the Kakuma protests. These recent protests in Kakuma highlighted food rationing issues. What is the county doing about that?
The issues of refugees, Turkana have hosted refugees for over 30 years. We know that globally, hostility towards migrants, and especially from Africa, is something that is a concern of European countries.
Okay.
And it is also the far right governments within these countries do not really feel comfortable hosting refugees.
Okay.
And so one of the things around If you see in Kenya, for example, refugees are hosted in marginal areas, in Turkana and in Dadaab. When you look at the compounding challenges where these refugees are located, first of all, they are in fragile ecosystem. Number two, they are in areas where we are grappling with the issue of adequate access to resources, higher poverty levels, socioeconomic indicators of these communities already find them at highest poverty index. In Kakuma alone, the estimates are 58 for refugees and more than close to 80% for the host communities. And so the global challenges in terms of how do we then ensure that our brothers and sisters and our parents who are forcibly evicted or forcibly displaced from their home countries, what kind of provisions can we allow them to have? So there is usually hopes from the host communities when you are hiring them, job opportunities by the development partners that are intervening.
Yeah.
Then there are also challenges with encampment policies of just managing the refugees within the camp. You know, that is information that our people don't know. Encampment policies does not allow anyone to access the camp other than those documented refugees or displaced persons. Then we have the Kalobeyei integrated settlements under the Kalobeyei integrated socio-economic development plan, which is kind of, in short, it's a process in which they're thinking around that if they supported the county government and the national government, then we can use the community so that there is equal opportunities in terms of access to these services, providing both long-term support for the refugees so that they can decide in the future on what they call the alternative pathways, whether for those who can be repatriated can be resettled elsewhere. Those who want to go back to their home countries can build their assets together so that they can be able to move there. Or those who want to stay can be provided with the mechanisms to stay.
Okay.
So the integration process is something that the Kenya government is looking at it from, instead of camps, that they can have integration with the local community in terms of access to these services, so that there is more inclusion, there is more opportunities generated through a national strategy.
Okay.
The issues of the refugees in particular in Kakuma has, the current protest is just a build-up of the fatigue around the reduction in the food rations last year also led to some kind of protest in which local businesses were affected. And that is not something that it's acceptable to us as the county government. Or no government will accept the infrastructure for its residents or citizens to be destroyed and there are no mechanisms for compensation.
Yeah.
There are no clear, and that is also going to be affected by a shift in global policies. The U.S. administration has already suspended USAID aid, which was also supporting some programs in the camp.
Yes.
And so, just like the USAID programs in Turkana, we as the county government had to step in and to cushion those programs so that they are part and parcel of our county programs and response. And that is why with the USAID project, we co-created with them.
Yes.
And so when we are talking about integration and we are talking about how do we ensure mechanisms for wealth creation to allow the socio-economic development of both the refugees and the host communities to benefit for a sustainable or for durable solution. We are looking at how do we then create an awareness in terms of public participation, awareness in terms of what these efforts are, so that together we can work to cushion the gaps that are left with our development partners
Yes.
when they phase out or when there are shifts in policy. And these are the things that we should always be ready. We are monitoring the situation on the ground. It is currently handled to the best of what we think are necessary at this point. What we don't want to see is a situation where a spillover of this protest is going to impact directly the peace and security and the stability of our communities, especially within Kakuma and Kalobeye.
So speaking of following up the core or the root cause of their grievances, do you think it's beyond food crisis?
We have heard, I cannot substantiate, and my key word here is heard, that some of the concerns they are raising is the issue of integration. They think that integration is going to make the national government and the county government focus on the Turkanas and pay less attention to them.
Okay.
I think that is a misguided statement because the national government strategy is to, first of all, tap the potential that they have. As the county government, we have provided the support for integrated services for the refugees, which is co-supported through KISDEP, which is a priority in our county integrated development plan. In terms of health, in terms of granting licenses for their businesses and subsidizing for their business ventures, skills development, healthcare support, and collaboration with those institutions, with the Kenya Medical Training College.
Yeah.
We have co-financed water infrastructure and even co-resource mobilized to make sure that the water systems within the community and the refugees are shared at 50-50. We have passed a local content law that allows the benefits also for some of those initiatives to 70%. And I think they are misguided by that, by the local content. The local content is supposed to take care of our resources, our artifacts, our knowledge, our everything about what is visible in Turkana in terms of its preservation, value, in terms of the benefits that the Turkanas can also get directly. But that does not necessarily mean that when we are integrating services, the integration of services is at 50-50 investments. So I think that is just another way of saying much more broader social dialogue needs to be held, much more public participation need to be conducted, and a much more increased interaction on discussions of some of these policies becomes really necessary to minimize situations where this information can be misinformation or miscommunication is done or conducted.
Okay. Let's delve into the implementation strategy, and we have this Shirika plan. I'd like you to enlighten us on this Shirika plan and also tell us how the Turkana County government is practically implementing these into actions as far as the refugees are concerned.
Shirika plan is a national government strategy to move from camps to much more integrated developments. The Refugee Act 2021 puts certain guarantees to the refugees, including movement, access to jobs, acquisition of land, good business environment for them to operate, their participation in everyday activities. And this Shirika plan is coming from the implementation of the Kalobeyei Integrated Socio-Economic Development Plan. This framework is a global framework that is seen to offer much more promising results to support both the host and the refugees population. So that in the end, if they want to decide to move to another country, those who move to another country can go to that country. Those who want to go back can go back. Those who want to stay, then they can stay and they can work within the Kenyan legal system to become residents of Turkana. So Shirika plan has 6 main pillars. It looks at systems strengthening for both national and county governments, including policy framework and institutions that govern how they are going to coordinate those services. It looks at the socio-economic development, looking at business opportunities, access to finances. That is why International Finance Corporation and Equity Bank, through Kakuma Kalobeyei Challenge Fund, invested $20 million as risk sharing facility for those business ventures. It looks at integration of these services so that both the refugees and the host communities can benefit from education, health, all those kind of things. It also looks at durable solutions and alternative pathways that I've just explained. So in terms of looking at all these pillars, it looks at the services, it looks at the institutions, it looks at possible solutions for them, it looks at wealth creation, which is really the strategy behind our theory of change for Turkana. So how is the Turkana County government implementing Shirika plan? Kalobeyei Integrated Socio-Economic Development is part of the county integrated development plan, is part of our CIDP. And so we have already implemented aspects of those, including establishing Biashara Huduma Center, which is where both the refugees and the host community can access both county government and national government services, registration, birth registrations, business permits, things that are already part of the integrated services. All the health infrastructure are now working as part of the health care system within Turkana and the training with the Kenya Medical Training College. The national government, through Ministry of Education, is doing whatever it is necessary to support the school system. The county government has already supported documentation that is necessary to be able to convert those into public schools so that the host children who are living adjacent to the camp cannot cover long distances while they can just attend the school there. As I said, water services is already integrated. We also provide licenses in our cooperative funds and other social enterprises funds. Includes access to that financial support from that as part of the broader support that is just given to everyone. Of course, ensuring that those services that require much more discussions in terms of how that can be achieved will continue being discussed, including free movement. So Kakuma municipality has already been gazetted and plans are underway to ensure that they are co-funded to build infrastructure for municipality in Kakuma. And so part of all these are ongoing, some of them are already integrated and they are ongoing. The Shirika plan was just subjected to public participation, so it has not been officially launched. There are discussions about how they envision the longer term development plan and how to have the refugees become part and parcel of their life, that the people live in these Kakuma, the refugee hosting areas.
Okay, I would like to ask a visionary question on the impact on the Turkana residents. What specific assurances do you give to the Turkana people regarding the Shirika plan and other initiatives that will, how will it benefit them?
Let me just say, Kalobeyei Integrated Socio-Economic Development Plan provides the evidence and the policy framework that is needed to move from camps to integrated settlements that spurs economic development by tapping into the skills and the potential that exists between the refugees and the host community. For example, let's look at the business environment. The Kakuma Kalobeyei Challenge Fund was able to benefit 54 local businesses and 26 refugee businesses. Number two, both the refugees and the hosts, we have subsidized their licenses for their business ventures. Okapi is a refugee, is providing affordable energy to both the refugees and the host communities. We have other local businesses that reciprocating those efforts. We have pushed for, if it is capacity development, educational support, healthcare support, any services that are being provided to the refugees currently stands at 50-50. And so on the longer term, that does not necessarily mean that when we are talking about integrated feedlot system and we are talking about ecosystem restoration within those areas, when we talk about Prosopis Uliflora management by utilization, the local community are the ones who are taking lead in those efforts. And so to me, when you look at these pillars of investments through wealth creation strategy that the Turkana County government is using as the core for, first of all, sustainable integration and for also for transformation of Turkana in general. Investments in these value chains opens up the possibilities of addressing the underlying challenges. So, as I said, Shirika plan, even though aspects of it builds on the Shirika plan, It is also a strategy of channeling the support through the county government and the national government to provide those services in a sustainable manner.
Okay. So we have a pressing issue from the audience that are sending messages,
Yeah.
and this one will take us back to your role.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been close to 3 years since you assumed office and your administration. You know, I'm informed that you are the brain behind the 9-point agendas. And how far are we in achieving the 9 points agendas?
The framework of our theory of change was a collective thinking.
Okay.
We had a team that sat together and looked generally at what the county government infrastructure, the institutions, and then we came up with what is really the pressing need and how do we go about pressing those needs. And then we came up with a 9-point agenda. Number one was water. Where are we at water? I'll probably say we have made a significant change in terms of access to water. In Lodwar municipality and Kanam Kemera alone, I would probably say we can be at 60%. In areas where they did not have potable water, I would say those areas for the first time have had access to potable water. Remote areas of Kibish, remote areas of Suguta. When we look at the water generally as an agenda, I would say that it has some challenges. And one of those challenges is that we found a piping system that was as old as 60 years. And effort to replace those have taken a while, but we are making tremendous progress. The second challenge is that most of our water infrastructure has always been located near River Takwel. During the last rains, I sat here with a group of development partners, 9 of them, to discuss on how we can rescue the famous Borehole 9. Borehole 9 is one of the boreholes that supplies about 6,000 households with water. And it was at the verge of being swept away. We worked hard to drill 3 emergency boreholes. Right now, 2 of those emergency boreholes are in the middle of the river. And we have one that we worry if the next rain comes, it is most likely to be swept away.
Okay.
And we have put massive infrastructure, both from our development partners and county government. We had 76 rehabilitated boreholes and a few both rehabilitated new ones under Quaker Phase 1, distributed across various sub-counties. Tomorrow, Governor will launch Phase 2 of Quaker UNICEF program, 42 boreholes. So all these efforts, if you put them together, compared to where we were before. I would give me as an indicator that we are already towards achieving water as a human rights.
Yeah.
Challenges remain, but what are other new ways in which we are thinking? We are thinking on how we can tap water from the Napu Aquifer so that we have 3 elevated tanks outside the main distribution lines. That is the thinking we have right now, that would have 3 elevated tanks that will serve the entirety of Kanamke Meru ward with adequate supply of water without necessarily having to rely on the one on River Takwel. But that does not mean that we need to restore and to change the course of River Takwel. And I appeal to the development partners to support our 25-year water master plan, because it does solve the problem rather than because if we protect the current borehole, it is going to affect the other boreholes near Moi Gardens. So that's like really a challenge. We are investing in defluoridation. We are investing in reverse osmosis. We are investing in desalination. Those are key areas where we feel we can make more impact. So we are making tremendous progress in achieving agenda number 1.
Okay.
When it comes to education, we have challenges of early childhood development. Because we want to modernize them, and that is really the indication in revitalizing education. Looking at how we build an infrastructure for technical training is something that we are very keen in terms of supporting our vocational trainings and to position those vocational training alongside those value chains, so that there is real connection between the training and the value chains within those areas. For example, Kalokol and Kataboy can focus in the lake, Turkana, Lokori and Lokchar can focus on food security, of course, and others. Kaleng and Loima, they can focus on livestock production.
Yeah.
We can have those that within Kakuma to look at other skills. Kakuma is a big market. Peace promotion, we have made tremendous progress in establishing peace across the region. The incident of Toranyang, as I said, it's something that has been there before. It is unfortunate, but we would continue to engage with the Ethiopian regional government of Ethiopia, the southern nations. They are very keen. We have had discussions with them. Governor has had a discussion with the president. I have been there. We have had discussions. Prior to this incident, we had robust discussions. They are keen in trying to make sure that we restore the confidence of those two communities together and to increase our presence so that we can give them confidence that we can work. In livelihoods, recently I met with the Kenya Agricultural Livestock and Research Organization and other. I also discussed a discussion with the private sector group to look at the issue of food security. United States Development Finance Corporation with the World Bank wants to invest in our main irrigation schemes, including Katilo, in terms of food security. We have 3 private sector who are going to build for us, support us to establish production centers as part of the corporate social responsibility, and they are ready to invest in contract farming. That will go a long way. We have a 1.6 billion investment on unlocking economic potential of Lake Turkana, and the funding for that program should start soon, so that we can develop those value chains. That is the livelihoods. In terms of trade, we are consolidating our efforts to ensure that our county, we focus on cooperatives, and the cooperative strategy. In the cooperative strategy, we are hoping that we can stimulate economic growth by increasing access to finances, and we are likely to build about 1.2 billion in revenue collections through that effort. In area of health, beyond the challenges that the sector is in general is experiencing from all counties in Kenya, we have made tremendous progress. We continue to have challenges in staffing, but we have been able to reduce traveling distances from one health facility to another to close to about 15 kilometers. We have 112 new facilities at various stages of completion. 60 are completed, 52 are almost getting constructed and completed. In the area of disaster management and public service, we continue to support various interventions that are really critical. So when I look at the 9-point agenda, we are now moving towards completion of the projects that had been completed to free up money for public investments into developing viable value chains where we are going to put those resources going forward.
Yeah.
So right now we are looking at how those efforts can grow into big development programs with possible investments.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And right about now, I would like to share with you the positive comments that are coming from the viewers. And one of them says, the Super Deputy Governor is a rare gem, a technocrat, and a good example of a diplomat. Excited listening to you and the great plans you have supporting our governor in delivering to the people of Turkana County. We believe and trust the process. Another follower says, true transformational leaders think beyond their lives on earth. Dr. Erus, you are doing well, and no wonder God has been good to you and be able to see the fruits of your labor. I thank God for the profile show by IOC TV. Another one says, privileged to listen to a great mind oozing wisdom. Good command of English. How do you feel about that?
Everyone would feel very good when positive comments are said about them.
Yeah.
I really want to thank the viewers for the feedback.
Yeah.
I want to say this. Everything I've done throughout my life, I've done it to the best of my ability and to inspire other people to either do much more greater things. I'm one person who is happy when I see people make progress. When I see somebody is making progress, I don't know, that makes me very happy. When I see people grow to become who they want to be, or they are holding each other and lifting them up rather than tearing them apart, that inspires me, that makes me happy. So every day when I wake up and I go to bed, I look back and say, out of the 10 people that came to the office and I was not able to help them, how did they leave my office? Did they leave that office sad, or did they leave that office feeling very optimistic that at least they went into an institution and they left with a smile? And it is always my pleasure to reassure the people of Turkana that when I was working for Justice and Peace, there are things that I thought it would have been easier to implement from the government perspective. Now I am in government, I also struggle with some of these challenges. But I believe that if all of us can just look at each one of us and look at the smallest strength that somebody has, we can transform Turkana in the best way we can. I'm still hopeful. I will do my contribution. I know the position comes with kind of challenges, but I have been through these challenges before in my life, and it is that level of just looking people as people and looking them as who they are, without judging and without looking at them as my competitors. I really look at people as providing a best environment in which they can thrive in their own way, so that we can all be happy for each other.
Yes.
So I really want to thank them for those comments.
Yeah, I've only read a few. There are so many, just because of time. And there's this one question that has been asked that I feel it's okay if I ask you right now. Your professional approach and the pride you take in what you do are truly admirable. Someone wants to know, would you say it is something that you've developed through life experiences, or it's inbuilt?
I would probably say it could probably be both. But there's a lot that I've learned through my own, from my own experiences. Working, engaging yourself in social justice in a regime that was really, really tough. And not really because I was doing something wrong. We just wanted to have a space where we can feel as part of Kenya, as citizens of Kenya. And during that time, I didn't know that we will have small claims courts becomes a national policy. Those are the things that we were fighting for. We were fighting for a professional magistrate in Lodwar, purely because we had somebody who was acting as a magistrate who could not even read the law, who could not even, whatever decisions he was giving undermined the essence of justice. So access to justice to the poor was really something that I was really passionate about, and that change made me to learn so much about people, learn so much about how to engage with government institutions. One thing I learned through that experience is that our policymakers have been programmed in such a way that if any thinking does not fit the frame of their engagements, they tend to shy away from them because they have to cost it. And that is why the issue of small claims courts, the issue of alternative justice, the issues that we did with Pamoja kwa Haki project, which was a school-based human rights program, the things that we talked about engagement through sexual offenses, things like this. Some of these things within our customary law, they find a leeway in which they, because our justice system is restorative, it's supposed to repair the relationship. It's supposed to ensure that you know, there is some kind of harmony within acceptable standards of conduct. When you are in a system that is retributive, and then people do not understand what the criminal justice process looks like, it makes that experience be really a negative one. And also, listening to people, one of the things that I've learned over life was that since Justice and Peace and even the experiences I had in the United States, I could see the linkages. I remember this kid in, at the university who came and told me that the only thing I regret is that Afeko did not run over me on Sunday, and that I have to come to explain to you what happened to me. And after speaking to the student, she told me that I'm not going to kill myself as long as I'm in this campus because of you.
Yes.
But I cannot guarantee it when I go home for holidays. You know, those kind of experiences kind of shaped me to understand that behind every person who comes to see me in the office, I see them from that lens.
Yes.
I see them from the lens of what I've been through as a child, and I see them from the lens of me growing up through some of those challenges. And sometimes it is not just because maybe they are expecting so much from you. And so I learned three things. I learned that humility is not just saying, oh, I am humbled. It is actually empathy in you to be able to be part of the moment of that person. Even in situations where you feel so much frustrated. It looks at friendship. You know, friendship, when we talk about love, love is really friendship. That the friendship, and that friendship is the person. And that person can be anything. And so that became really an experience of me, that when I see a person, I see their value. I see them from the positive. I see that person who comes asking me for help. I see them from the point of view, first of all, as a person, and not just anything else, and not just anybody. That person could be me, and that person is really me. And then the third thing I learned from that experience probably is recognizing that you need to live the present to understand the person, to be able to understand what the future looks like. And that really was a game changer for me. So sometimes I would probably say, you know, could also be inborn, because generally I've been brought up in an environment in which I see this level of positivity. Our parents were also a little bit harder, and they created that calm environment in which we could address each other in a much more stable way. So if we get offended, We would take time to reflect about it, and then you generate some kind of ideas. And I pray every day for God to give me wisdom, so that at the spark of a moment when things are not okay, or may appear to be a little bit frustrating, I close my eyes and say, just guide me in terms of how let me be the voice of Recon at this point,
Yes.
and let me try to shape the discussions around that. So, and I am really very proud of that, and I will continue to be there. But that does not mean that I cannot get angry, and I am human, so in case one day there are some things that you also get pushed to the point. There is also the man in me. I am also a very emotional person to some extent, and maybe people will say, hey, but that does not really reflect in those. So, and that is where the humility part of it really comes from. It's just from that understanding.
Yeah.
That is why probably I am not just an ordinary politician,
Yeah.
and I cannot shy away from these things.
Yes.
Maybe I can just say that for now.
Okay, and out of the many questions that we've been sent, we have the issue of time, but also this is the last question I'm going to ask you, which is a very biting question to many of the people, and this is a unique question because it's coming from your colleague actually. He says, hi, Your Excellency Deputy Governor John, proud of you as a colleague, supervisor, and a leader. Talk on the, you said, termination of funds for Resilient Livelihood Program on sustainable reduction of malnutrition in Turkana. How will the government, how will the county government take over the intervention forward?
One of the lessons that we learned from the study on malnutrition in general, the longitudinal study with the USAID Nawiri, was that if we take mid-upper arm circumference without adjusting for age, we tend to leave out so many people who could actually be classified as acutely malnourished. And so, since the study this study disseminated results on the aspect that we will be working with APHRC, African Population and Health Research Center, to carry out a study on age-adjusted either as a diagnostic tool or just purely for assessment and targeting. That will enable us to look at the next financial budget. What resources do we need so that we ensure that as the drought season approaches, that we are fully prepared to do these interventions are rightly available from our health facilities. Number three, we are looking at an integrated approach in terms of how we link up food security, food systems approach and hubs from the point of view of livelihood, so that we currently have enough animal feeds, and we do not want them to be distributed when it is completely dry season. Would like to provide these animal feeds ahead of time so that our animals can continue to provide milk to our children and those nutrients. We are also working, as I said, with the private sector to look at food crops that are high in nutritional value. That's why I hosted Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization. Kenya Seed is working in Katilo. We are working with the World Food Program in ecosystem restoration through food systems. We have other development partners who are already doing pasture reseeding. We have Agriculture for Homework project by JICA in all our ECD centers. And one of the we are using our community health promoters to continue to screen individuals in their homes for potential of this. I had discussions with head of missions of European countries for additional support in the meantime, but our overall goal is to invest in food systems that are likely to add into various products that can be available in the market, including fish. I know that USAID Nawiri through Juicy Mashinani has really transformed the lives of those people, and we are working with the Ministry of Health to ensure that those communities are organized into business ventures that they can benefit from cooperative funds. So, and these cooperative funds, we are organizing cooperatives according to these key value chains.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your sentiments with us. We are happy to have hosted you in this show, and we have come to an end. I would say you're a dedicated leader to serving the Turkana people, and you see the future in Turkana, and your service delivery is very clear. Thank you so much. I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to tell the Turkana people that as it was, so the story being carried in the Standard newspaper last year. Yes, I've lived a life of service. People are important to me. They are my passion. And it's really the purpose for which I accepted to become the deputy governor. I am not deputy governor because I'm motivated by anything, but to support the government so that whatever is visible within our means, we can put resources and the thinking around and the programs that can be able to start that going forward. I know many people say sometimes you are not with the governor. I've already stated my role. My role is to provide support to strengthen the office of governor, working in collaboration with the office of the county secretary and the office of the county attorney as an executive in collaboration with the county assembly to make sure that whatever is approved by the county assembly is implemented by the executive. And I said that I will continue to build that confidence and to continue to offer the support that the county of Turkana and the people of Turkana needs, as I had said and committed during the oath of office. So I am very honored and privileged to come back home and do the least I can to be able to make a contribution
Yeah.
to the future of Turkana.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you.
Now, we've come to the end of our successful show with the Deputy Governor, and I would like to thank all the viewers who have been here with us. We trust you, we believe in you, and we are so thankful. Our next show will be with Emmanuel Ekwam, where he'll be hosting a number of ladies who will be coming here to talk about a number of things affecting women since we are approaching the International Women's Day. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank the management of the Cradle Hotel and the behind team, our director, Allen Savai, our producer, Nichi Edits, CEO, Emmanuel Ekwam, and our photographer, Shadow Photography. Thank you so much. Until next time, good night.